get to the phone here real quick. Aaron Willard is our guest. He is a senior advisor for Missouri Rising Action, which has come together to aid in the effort to defeat Claire McCaskill. Aaron, how are you?
Doing great, Mark. Thanks for having me. And I love that clip you were playing earlier of the part of the Claire McCaskill apology on Hillary Clinton as a candidate.
Yeah, well, we might as well remind people in the state the president won soundly where Claire stood on all of that and the situation we'd be in today had she been successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Something else that obviously is in the news a lot right now, too, that reminds me of Hillary Clinton is after the Republicans passed that tax cut, she went out and said this tax bill is only going to get worse as people learn more about it. I mean, it's so funny now because, we see more and more as people are getting these tax cuts, real people, real workers, real families are having the benefits of having more money in their pocket because of these tax cuts. And people like Hillary Clinton and Claire McCaskill could never wrap their head around it. They just never believed it was going to happen. And Claire even now is, flip-flopping and contradicting herself on what she originally believed about the impact of those tax cuts would be.
Yeah, well, she was quoted, I think, in the Post yesterday, basically saying that if it was up to her, they would rescind the tax cut, at least maybe not on the middle class, although that's a moving target. You never know to the left what consists of the middle class to them.
That's right. It is. It's a moving target. You never know exactly what it's going to be. Here's what Claire, though, also is interesting, is that Claire never points out that she sat or sits on the Senate Finance Committee. So she actually had an opportunity when that piece of legislation was going through committee to do something, to voice her opinion, to work on it. And at the time, the only thing that Claire did was oppose it because they never fundamentally believe, Mark, and you know this, that people are going to see the benefits of this. So it's better to put money in the pockets of the citizens and the taxpayers than it is to grow the size of government. So what you're suggesting is that, like John Kerry, she could have voted for it before she voted against it? It sounds like Kerry logic. She's trying to say that she would do. Yeah. When it comes to McCaskill in this race, Aaron, I read an article today that she has had a pretty good month fundraising, and yet we're in the middle of worrying about politics and infighting in the Republican Party here in the state of Missouri. That concerns me a little bit because Claire McCaskill in the past has gotten very lucky and drawn like a royal flush just before election time, at least in the last election cycle, and we don't want to see that happen again this time. No, not at all, and you're right. I mean, Claire always seems to kind of find a way to wiggle out of it and really distract from her record in Washington, D.C. Actions always speak louder than words. What she says in Missouri and to Missourians is obviously different than what she does in D.C. And obviously, like you alluded to, I mean, there's some things going on here that seem like a distraction, but I think ultimately, as we get closer, to election time, and we have obviously, groups like ours, Missouri Rising Action, we're going to be out there to try to point out and remind people that actions do speak louder than words. Let's take a look and see what Claire's actions have been, what she's done for the state of Missouri, how she's actually stood up for Missourians on things like the tax cut versus what she wants to tell us that she's doing for us. And as you pointed out the other day, or someone we had on pointed out, her criticism of Josh Hawley for having somebody fly into town like the president to raise money for him while, she claimed to only accept small donations. Then she went to Hollywood. Yeah, again, there's another hypocrisy. But you're right. I mean, going out and raising money from places that I think would be hard-pressed for Missourians to say that they have the same values as the people that she's raising money from in Hollywood, and people that are typically some of the largest bundlers, for, the folks that bankrolled the campaigns of Barack Obama, that bankrolled the campaigns of Hillary Clinton, which, Missourians voted against. And she is going back to those same people to raise millions of dollars for her campaign. It just doesn't add up. No, not at all. But I tell you what, Aaron, where can people go to find out more about your effort? Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mark. MissouriRisingAction.org is the website.
like I said, we're going to be laser focused, from now through the election, being in a place that people can go, that they can actually find out the truth as to, what actions McCaskill has taken as opposed to the things that she's saying back here in Missouri.
Yeah, it's a good point. Listen, Aaron Willard, I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mark.
Have a great day.